This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. And on this day, August the 11th, in the year 2019, Bianca Andreescu made history. No, not that moment. This moment. If you're looking at it visually, you see Bianca Andreescu kind of kneeling in front of Serena Williams. There's a story to that. So anyway, Bianca Andreescu won the 2019 Canadian Open Women's Championship. The Women's Championship is one of the longest running tournaments in history, behind only the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, like the men, like I talked about yesterday. But the fact of the matter is that Serena Williams was the queen. 23 major titles won. She is one short of Margaret Smith Court's Open era record of 24. Anyway, so Andreescu would be huge and all that. Now, Simona Halep of Romania was the defending champion, but got injured. And after this tournament, it was Naomi Osaka from Japan, who was the number one player in the world, after Ashley Barty got upset in the second round and Karolina Pliskova lost in the quarterfinals. So, like I said with the men, every other year, the tournament would be held, alternate between Toronto and Montreal. So 1 year in Toronto, 1 year in Montreal. The women's tournament this year is in Montreal. Now, if you do the math, 2019, 2023, it should be like, oh, well, this tournament was in Toronto. That's right. Then 2023 it should be in Toronto. But it's not. It's in Montreal due to the fact that 2020 didn't happen in Canada because of COVID-19. So, anyway, it was the tournament in Toronto. In section 1 of the draw, Sofia Kenin of the United States won the quarterfinals / sectional thing over the number 6 seed, Elena Svitolina of Ukraine. Svitolina. This was, of course, the group that saw Ashley Barty get the first round bye and lose to Kenin in 3 sets. Now, in the Canadian Open, as well as many tournaments, the top 8 seeds get byes into the second round, whereas everyone else will have to compete against each other. In section 2, Andreescu's first match was against fellow Canadian and former Wimbledon finals Eugenie Bouchard. So anyway, Bouchard looked like she was supposed to be this great women's player and all that. But unfortunately, she failed. And Andreescu lost the first set, but won the next 2. That got her a match against the Russian Kaskatina. And despite losing 7-5 in the first set, she won 6-2, 7-5, so she moves on. She moved on to face the number 5 seed Kiki Bertens of Holland, and won the first set 6-1, lost in a tiebreak, but won 6-4. And then she took on the number 3 seed Karolina Pliskova, bageled her 6-love, and then Pliskova won 6-2. But Andreescu won the third set 6-4, moves on to the to the semifinals. Leila Fernandez, as a wild card in section 3, lost to Puskova, the qualifier from the Czech Republic, who actually beat Sloane Stephens, Yelena Ostapenko, and Simona Halep to get to the semifinals. Puskova got in on a walkover as Halep got injured with Achilles tendon, I think. In section 4, Osaka-san was the number 2 seed, lost to Serena Williams, who was the 8th seed, because Serena was getting back into things after being hurt and having a child. So Serena beat Elise Mertens, Elena Alexandrova, and then Osaka, her rival from the previous year's U.S. Open. Anyhow, so Andreescu would face Kenin in one semifinal and beat her 6-4, 7-6, making it to the final against Serena, who took down the qualifier Puskova. After losing set 1, she won the next 2. So Andreescu was up against it with Serena, and Canadians were nervous because no Canadian woman, or man for that matter, had won the Canadian Open since 1969. So, anyway, it was hard pressed. Andreescu was this young up and coming tennis player. In fact, Bianca hoped to take down Serena Williams once and for all. Unfortunately, something seemed wrong. Serena was not returning the ball that well, and Andreescu was taking advantage of it. Something was wrong with Serena, so she went to the chair. Unfortunately for Serena, her back spasms were acting up, and she had to resign from the match. So it's a retirement. Andreescu was winning, but Serena was hurt. And Andreescu won the Canadian Open. Not the way that Canadians wanted it to happen, trust me, but the way she actually won it. Andreescu won the trophy in front of her fans in Toronto. She grew up close by Toronto. But anyway, Andreescu was the hero. And it looked good for her. Little did we know that the Toronto tournament would actually give her some much needed help into the 2019 Ladies Championship, which I hope I did on this day of belt. I think I did. Anyway, Andreescu in her section at the US Open took care of the American wildcard Fonyads, then faced the lucky loser Christian Filipkins, beat her in straight sets. Straight sets win over Caroline Wozniacki of Denmark, former Wimbledon champ, and then took down the qualifier Taylor Townsend in 3 sets to move on to the quarterfinals, where she drew the number 25 seed Elise Mertens and beat her in 3 sets despite losing the first set. In the semis against Bencic of Switzerland, she swept Bencic and would take on Serena. It was weird because the quarterfinals saw only 2 of the top 8 seeds move on. Svitolina number 5 and Serena number 8. Serena beat Svitolina, and it was going to be Andreescu Williams part 2, this time for real. I mean, when you look at it, it's like Osaka lost in the 4th round. Ashley Barty lost in the 4th round. Pliskova lost in the 4th round. Yikes. Simona Halep lost in the 2nd round. She was 4th seed. Svitolina made the semifinals. Kvitova, number 6 seed, lost in the 2nd round. Burdens lost in the number 7. Burdens lost in the 3rd round. Sabalenka went out in the 2nd round at number 9. And Maddie Keys went out at number 10. The 4th round. So this time Serena was healthy enough. Andreescu took it out 6-3. And it's like, wow. Andreescu is just that good. Well, Serena fought back. Thankfully for Andreescu, she made a couple of key service points. And Andreescu won the 2019 US Open Women's Singles. So that was weird how the Toronto tournament actually got Andreescu the power to win the US Open. And Canada was shocked because no man or woman had ever won a major as a Canadian. Greg Lisetsky, who was a Benedict Arnault for leaving Canada for England, did not win a championship, thankfully enough. But anyway, it doesn't matter that Canada got a Grand Slam champion. And it all started from Andreescu's momentum from winning the 2019 Canada Open in Toronto. So, there. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do